sometimes it takes a minute or two. Thanks again, you guys, for all you do.
Is that the official clock that was up?
It's close. Yeah, it is. It's real close.
Good, because I'm not logged in yet. My
Yeah.
cell phone says.
Yeah, we're about 2 minutes away.
I need a cup of coffee. I'm with you, Jeff. I thought I was connected, I'm not.
Jeff, you get in? You doing okay?
Which one? That's a good question.
Get in?
Says he's not connected to the internet, but he was just a second ago.
Mine's totally dead, but I guess I really don't need it.
You can use mine if you want.
Yeah, I'll try that. Can't get a Patron. Still blank. This one, I so close.
Here it is.
Justin, did you mention to her that Dave Baumgartner wasn't
See
getting
if it does anything.
You ever been in on the last meeting?
the emails from that information?
So I think I would in.
I didn't
Remember
realize
she
that.
got to you.
Yeah, I didn't, I wasn't.
I still didn't get my code.
When did you?
All right, now.
Shut it
He's
off.
not on.
You're not gonna stop me, you and city lackeys.
Might be on his phone.
Come on.
Yes.
Jeff's actually the only guy who's got anybody remembers.
Is that right?
It helps to maintain.
So,
I'm sure.
it works for both of us.
I don't know why this one is special.
Oh, wait up. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff, are you up?
I'm up.
Okay, anybody else need to come for a second, so we ready? Okay, we'll start, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and, what is this, June the eighth? June the eighth, the planning commission meeting, and to get us started, we have approval of minutes. Has anybody looked at the minutes and prepared to approve it?
Move to approve as written.
Thank you, Jeff. Second?
Second.
On Mac? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Unfinished business subdivision to create 3 lots on Husky Trail. Justin, you want to take it from there?
So as a reminder, the petitioner has submitted a plat to reconfigure 3 lots located at 1060 Mariners Drive. Historically, these parcels were merged for tax purposes and have been maintained under common ownership. The need to reconfigure these parcels has arisen because of the existing lot line for the northwestern parcel, formerly Lot 11, traverses the existing structure of the theater, making changes in ownership not feasible. Proposed plat includes an expansion of the drainage and utility easement on the west side of Lot 3 to allow access to the public stormwater basin. On June 3rd, 2026, the Traffic Safety Commission reviewed the concerns expressed by this board at the previous meeting. During that meeting, the Traffic Safety Commission recommended option 1 in the attachment as the preferred ingress egress point for lot 3. An option to access along Mariners Drive was also discussed at the Traffic Safety Commission meeting, but this was not the preferred access this was not preferred over the access proposed on Husky Trail. So with that, I would just recommend that the Planning Commission grant final approval for the plat as proposed. This is all, the recommendation from the Traffic Safety Commission is also made based on not knowing what that parcel 3 is going to be. So if and when a development plan is submitted for that, the tech review could, if we do have those same concerns, we could bring it to the Traffic Safety Commission again for review, just to confirm that that's the preferred access for whatever use that ends up being.
Okay. So there's been no further input from letters or public before this meeting concerning this issue?
No.
Okay. Other questions for Justin?
I see the 3 options, all are, Husky Trail. In your introduction, you mentioned there was a Mariners Drive option that was not, but it's not included in this package.
It is not. We discussed it at the meeting, but it was not in that package that was provided by the petitioner.
Well, that's based upon the Traffic Commission's recommendations not to use Mariners Drive, is that what you just said here?
We discussed Mariners Drive on the south of lot 3, but that was not preferred out of the 3 options that or the four options.
Other questions or comments for Justin from the board?
I'll just add, so I was talking to them about that Mariners Drive entrance, and there wasn't, if they put in an entrance there wasn't enough stopping sight distance from the roundabout, to have it be totally safe from an engineering standpoint, so that's why I suggested to them that they might just consider looking at Husky Trail.
Further thoughts, Jeff, or?
And further up from there, you get into the basin, right?
That's correct. Are we good?
I mean, I'm satisfied. What we wanted was for them to review it and lend their expertise because we weren't experts on.
Well, I think we've got the rest of what we're gonna give based upon what they know right now too, so. Okay, well, Justin, thank you very much. Is there anybody else wishing to speak, to this, issue, one way or another?
Not unless there are further questions, but.
Okay. Any further questions for the board, for anybody in the audience? Okay, with that said then, we'll close it to the public. And are we ready to vote? Do we need some conversation or? No conversation, somebody's free to make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this request, as the final plat, utilizing the option recommended by the Traffic Commission.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Max, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, one opposed, Jeff. Okay, motion carries. And we'll move on. I'm sorry?
Dumpster.
Yeah, all of a sudden this thing's changed on me. Dumpster ordinance amendments?
Yeah, I do request that the board table this again. We actually have an intern that I'm gonna have do the revisions on that. She's a grad student with a master's degree and currently working on a second master's degree. So we were lucky enough to get her assistance this summer, and it seemed like a great project for her to use that expertise on. So she'll do a deep dive into other communities and additional requirements. Per our conversation for the meeting last month, we wanted some changes there, so I figured once we got her on board, let's use that expertise.
Any questions or comments for Justin?
You need a motion.
Well, we'll need a motion, but we'll give everybody a chance to talk if they want to talk about anything. If not, I'll take a motion.
Move to table to the next meeting.
Okay, second?
Second.
you. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? None. Okay. And then last we have, Kevin Biggs, recommendation subdivision to create 2 lots.
Yeah, so for this one, the petitioner has submitted a plat seeking to create two new lots from a parcel that has historically been designated as Block E, located to the west of the intersection of Stag and Buck Trail. Block B was originally platted in 2005 as a 24,000 square foot neighborhood green space intended to offset the reduced lot sizes for the adjacent villa-style homes. That would be lot 1 through 20. Block B is one of 3 blocks on the original plat. Blocks A and C contain designated wetlands and stormwater detention. Ownership of Block B was initially intended to be transitioned over to the homeowners association, but that transfer never occurred. Over the past 2 decades, the developer has been unsuccessful in transferring ownership of the parcel to the HOA, and the HOA has formally stated that it does not wish to accept the liability or the financial burden associated with maintaining the green space. Given the HOA's lack of opposition to the development of these 2 parcels and the continuing burden of the undeveloped property that is upon the developer, the planning department recommends that the planning commission give a favorable recommendation to city council. So this would modify the existing PUD ordinance. So that's something I wanted to make sure it was clear to the board, that this was platted as a PUD. So what we'd be doing tonight is making one of 3 possible recommendations to city council. A favorable recommendation, an unfavorable recommendation, or no recommendation. And then kind of tagging that with any requirements that you want to see if this was approved. So those are the options that are before us. This is the procedure to modify a PUD in the city, so it's a little bit different than just regular plat approval. It involves a zoning classification and ordinance. So,
Were there any inputs from the public part of this?
no, other than speaking with the current HOA president for the villas, I called him and got a couple of emails from him just to make sure I understood their position, make sure there was any unheard voices in the neighborhood that wanted to weigh in on this.
And they said,
He sent me an email in writing, put it in writing, that they did not want these parcels. They did not want to take ownership of these parcels.
So my question is for legal. Why would this not go to DCA since it's an exception to an existing ordinance?
Well, because we're not modifying an ordinance. The PUD said, one of the 7 things that the PUD asked for was that they reserve adequate recreational areas.
Right.
And I'm assuming at the time when they had Block A, Block B, and Block C, that satisfied the plan commission at the time, and they gave a favorable recommendation that the plat be approved because of Blocks A, B, and C. They're asking to replat so that Block B becomes lots 91 and 92. That's not a variance, that's not an exception, that's a replat. So they have to get the approval of the plan committee for this replat. And ultimately, the council to allow the replat.
But since that time, it's been determined that A and C are unusable as a recreational space and as a building lot. So this is the only remaining green space in this PUD subdivision.
And that's why it's here. You might vote that you don't think they should give up their recreational space that this plan commission requires for a PUD, that there be recreational space for some of these undersized lots. So Justin couldn't just approve it, and that's why it's in front of you all to discuss whether you still think it's important, and whether, from my perspective, I don't know what you're gonna think about it. I think maybe you consider how important it is to the homeowners association, their thoughts about it, because traditionally, with lots, the green space is titled over or common think there's a legal mechanism to make the homeowners association picket.
I guess part of my question is how many of the people that actually live in CBD are represented on the homeowners association that sent that letter? Because I know we just had the letter from the president, so I don't know that we have any minutes where this has been voted on. I don't know that we have anything that shows where those people who do not have yards in which their children can play and use this space for the place where their children can go, want this developed into homes, so that now their children have no place to go. And that's my big concern.
I did take a look at, I thought I attached it, but it's not in there. It was a grid layout showing, when this was approved back in 2005, there was a layout showing the density model of the neighborhood. And this density, and the overall density of the neighborhood, a lot of it is more R1 when you average it out, because that's something we look at as far as, we're down, we're making these smaller lots. It is somewhere between an R1 and an R2, if that helps you visualize it. So if you were in an R2, that would be more dense, fully more dense than this neighborhood, because of there's a pocket of dense villas on the south side, but the entire neighborhood doesn't have that same configuration, so just
Well,
wanted
it's
to.
just like Greenbrier, where we just required them to provide that green space when they did not have it in the original plat. So I have difficulty personally with the plan commission making a favorable recommendation to this.
Can I advocate for the petitioner? One, for disclosure, the petitioner the company was a client of mine 30 years ago. As a developer of the subdivision, you can't make the homeowners association take the property. So where they sit right now, they can't build on it, and the homeowners won't take it. Really, the path forward, because they can't do anything with it, it's inventory they can't use, it will most likely, the only way for them to dispose of it now is through tax sale. So they don't pay the taxes, it goes to tax sale, somebody might buy it, but at some point in time, they're done. So it's in a purgatory of nobody can do anything with it because of how it got started. If we look, the benefit they have, the properties that I had the same thing, HOA, every person who bought the property was told this is what's gonna happen once you get to a certain level of ownership, and they chose, we don't want it. So we are now looking at more of I'm trying to get a little piece of information here. So currently, this could go to tax sale, nothing happens to it, it just is out there. Each of the two neighboring properties are generating roughly $2,000 in property taxes each year. So we actually have an opportunity to increase the city's income or the county's property tax income by $4,000 by letting this happen. Otherwise, nothing's gonna happen to it, other than everybody looks at it and says it's not mine.
Justin, I have a question. Who's maintaining this property?
The petitioners are here, they can speak to how that's operating right now.
Okay. Well, one last crack. Anybody have any further questions or comments for Justin? Okay, if not, then, we will then open it up for anybody speaking in favor of this request. I don't know if it's. Feel free to come on up.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. Kevin Biggs, I'm the developer and owner of Ideal in Kingsbury. And so just a little historical context. It is accurate that we came to Plan Commission, they asked that this block be available for the benefits of the owners of the community. And so we made our best efforts starting about 2 years ago to formally form the HOA for the Passive Deerfield. Within this neighborhood, there is a section of villas along with the master HOA. The villa community, we formed, I don't know how long ago, 5 or 6 or 7, maybe longer than that. Maybe 10 years ago, the villa HOA organized and formed primarily because snow removal and lawn care, they took custody of those functions. When we then sought out to form the master HOA for the rest of the community, they rejected our efforts to do so and said, we don't want an HOA, and we have no mechanism to force that upon them. So we now have a piece of ground that is meant for their benefit, which they have now said, and so we did confer with the only organized entity out there, which was the Villa HOA.
Okay, that is helpful because
Yeah,
it was presented such that it was the HOA for the neighborhood.
yeah, who we were able to confer with was the only organized entity out there, which was the Villa HOA. And so we asked them last year, is this something that you would like to take custody of? And they came back in writing, as you heard from Justin, they said, no, we don't want it either. So we've kind of been left with no other alternative, made our best effort to try to comply with what was set forth in the beginning, which was to be a common area. But now, as the developer, we have no interest anymore, as all the lots have been completely sold out there. So we're just trying to find an ongoing mechanism that isn't gonna create more dysfunction and a burden, as you mentioned, let it go to tax sale, then who knows what happens beyond that. So we'd like to provide a benefit to the community, which would be increase the tax base and add 2 more homes, as we've been talking with the Plan Commission and Jeremy and others that, hey, we desperately want to see more lots being developed here in Warsaw, so we're trying to find every opportunity to do that. We came with this proposition to get 2 lots then out of this common area, instead of it going to disarray, we have 2 developed lots and add some more tax base, so.
So did you build the gazebo that sits there now, right?
I didn't personally build it, but.
I think did Biggs, that it's smack in the middle of these 2 lots.
Yeah, I think it was a prefab gazebo that
But
we
I mean,
bought
as
and put on the property.
developer, you put it there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and then you've been mowing and maintaining, or have the 2?
Every year since we developed it.
Been mowing?
No, we've been paying to have that mowed and
Okay.
developed and,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not.
So I assume at this time you're paying the property tax on it?
We are.
All the way through.
yeah.
Is that one reason the HOA doesn't want it, because of the property tax maybe, or what's their reason?
I honestly can't tell you definitively. I just know that we've, again, tried to form the HOA with the master association. They rejected that. Here's a little lesson learned as Gen 3 of this organization. My father is Gen 2. Didn't want to burden the owners with an association fee when we first developed out there. Let's keep the costs low, we can attract buyers. The problem with that is then when you go to form, you have to then introduce a fee, and everybody says, well, I don't want to pay a fee, I've been paying 0 since I bought out here. Even though it was disclosed when they bought the property on the deed, there's HOA to be formed, and in the language said it was at the bequest of the owners. So lesson learned is that we now charge from the very beginning on the first lot sold in a new development we do, even if it's $20 a year. We charge some minimal amount, therefore we don't run into the problem we have from these historic legacy developments that didn't have a fee charge. So we've got a correction in place now, but looking back 20 years, lesson learned, we should have charged the fee from the beginning.
Would those 2 lots be buildable then? Are they high enough? And
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I've got my engineer here.
I did a drive-through on the way here today, that they were graded as lots. They were going to be lots at one time, and so they have been graded as if they were going to be built on, so they.
so the elevation is good enough to build on. To me, it just looks like a simple solution to your problem. I don't see any other way out of it. My only concern is Block A. I don't see any access from the neighborhood to Block A. That's the only green space other than Block C that you have left. Can people access Block A? Is there any way to get there without going through someone's yard?
Not to my knowledge.
If you
That's
go
what
out
it
there,
is.
you have to put on your waders to get
And I imagine block C is probably water retention also, or is that different?
I believe is that the little,
They both were wetlands, delineated as wetlands prior to development, utilized as stormwater detention functions.
So in reality, there is no green space other than this area.
yeah, correct, yeah, there's another small, piece of property, actually defined as, I think, lot 80 or 81, that, never sold because of topography, although that's not a dedicated block, but that is another space in the community that does have access from the road right away that's never been developed on.
I think it's 80 because it's right next to that other wetland.
It could be.
I guess I wonder how many people you can use green spaces. I mean, if you've got any kind of a yard, families tend to kind of want to keep an eye on the kids and set up a darking right in their own backyard or something like that. I don't want to go down to a green space necessarily. It sounds like a good idea, but.
I think it really largely depends on the piece of ground you started with. I mean, we have some communities that have some really nice common areas that you can't build on, but are natural and have access, and it lends itself to more activity. And in those cases, we have developed, in this case, a little higher density, it didn't have great space. We kind of tried to shoehorn something in, which is the gazebo area now. Unfortunately, again, it's been rejected by the community as something that they just don't find benefit to, so.
This has been a few years ago when we first looked at maybe switching this over, and I went out and drove there, and the day I happened to drive, there was a birthday party taking place in the gazebo, and the neighborhood kids were all out there playing soccer. I don't know that that's going on now. I don't, the last few times I've driven out there, I haven't seen anybody using it, so. I guess somebody that lives there would have to tell us whether or not it's used much.
Certainly, I wouldn't be able to really comment, because our headquarters are 2 counties away, so.
I just wonder about the burden on him, though. They've got to continue to mow this thing because nobody else wants to pick up. So, other questions or comments from Mr. Biggs while he's here?
I would just like to say, it sounds like you did your due diligence, you offered it to the HOA, they don't want it, so I don't see any other alternative, so I can see this as a solution that probably is necessary.
Mr. Biggs, can we just clear one thing to be sure? There is Bill is at the path of Deerfield HOA. That's the only HOA that exists out there now, right?
The Villa HOA is the only one that.
So the majority of these lots don't belong to an HOA. So that's unusual, quite frankly, that you're not forced to be in an HOA. Most platted developments now require that owners become members of the HOA. So I don't disagree with anything that you said, Jurgen, but they're in a little bit different situation because there's not an HOA other than the Villa's HOA that is organized, so.
Yeah, the other lot owners are not represented, I agree with what you said.
But they've been given the opportunity to be represented. When you said you went through, you contacted them about forming an HOA and they did not want to.
That's correct. We did contact the owners out there and said, this is the next step. We're, 80–90% full. We want to turn this over so you can self-govern. And that's when they rejected our efforts to organize. And so we were left in no position other than to not organize, or there's nothing else we could do.
The owners of the home on lot 4172, which are adjacent to Block D, did they have any specific input, or you have no idea?
I will say, and Justin could speak to what the criteria for this is, but the lot owners were public notice that this was happening, and no one's here to speak against it.
So again, those two particular lots, did you get any input?
I haven't heard anything directly from them, no.
Okay.
So Scott, I'm sorry, but I'm still confused why this would come
required to be dedicated for recreational use.
So since
The plat will, lot B will say it's now lot whatever, 91 and 92. And
So why would that not stay here then in plan commission if it's a replat? Why is it going back to city council?
PUD is a
Yeah.
specialized zoning district just for this development.
So we would have to create a specialized zoning district in
There is
city
one,
council.
there is one
it
now,
already
and
is
it,
a
and we're
PUD.
proposing to amend it.
It already is one, it would be in violation of that zoning district. That's where I'm confused.
So when this occurred, whenever the original PUD went through, the PUD was approved and recommended by the plan commission that they approve the PUD, which was an ordinance. And because it was an ordinance, the council had to vote to approve the ordinance.
I remember voting on it.
And they did. And now, it's not going to modify the ordinance, but it modifies what was required by the ordinance, that they provide adequate recreational areas. Was one of the things specific, I don't have it in front of me, specific 7 things in PUD as I recall. And so, they're asking you to make a recommendation to the council that if they do this, that they're still satisfied that one of the 7 things, that they provided adequate recreational areas, and that you guys vote to approve the change of the plat because it's subject to a PUD, this last 91 or 92.
And we're only doing it for this development, not for all PUDs.
The PUDs are unique, that's, the unique thing about a planned unit development is you can plan for that special unit development. The council can make basically whatever rules they want,
Right.
because it doesn't have to follow,
Yep.
when it's a planned unit development, the normal zoning ordinances for lot size and those kind of things. So, I think they're doing everything correctly, coming here and asking for a recommendation from you all, and they're really specific, they're gonna create 2 new lots, they got a new plat drawn, and they're either gonna get a favorable recommendation, or a no recommendation, or a not favorable recommendation, one of those 3 things. And then it will go to the council, and the council will vote to decide whether they need to amend the ordinance, or whether they approve this as complying with the ordinance that we already have. Because our ordinance just says that they are to provide adequate recreational area. And I don't think it's gonna really be a modification of that ordinance. I think they'll probably give the same presentation, and it'll be either favorable or whatever happens here, whatever you all request for them to do, if anything, to satisfy what the original idea might have been, and maybe the idea's changed. But this is, to me, it's a replat, but because it was a planned unit development, it involves the council.
Jeff, you have a thought, question?
Well, my processing of this, and Jeremy can help me. We're here to decide whether or not we replat that 1 lot into 2 lots. Forgetting about the PUD for a second, the city has an ordinance in a residential district that you can't cover more than what percentage of the lot? 50%, okay. You're building something that's slightly bigger and it's covering 60% of the lot. You go back to the city to get approval to cover more than, so what I see happening here, our function is just whether or not we're gonna allow them to replat that into 2 lots. Their other function is to go back to city. Look, we said we wouldn't cover all of this with lots. We would cover 98% of it or whatever. It's not working out. We want your permission to cover a little bit more, is what I'm understanding other procedure is to walk away from the PUD and just think of it as an ordinance that they want to vary from a little bit, which is unrelated to, can we make this 2 lots, which is a replat.
Diane, I'll jump in. Planned unit developments are their own planet. And as a result, the elected officials must make a decision on how that planet will operate. It's its own area. That's why we're asking, be careful listening to me, the Plan Commission to advise, because of your expertise, to the elected officials on what we believe is best. But because it's so unique and you can do whatever you want, like what Jeff was saying, you can do whatever you want on it, but as long as the elected officials are the ones that say this is what can be done. I think the engineer was saying the same thing. That's why you're making a recommendation, and that's why they've come to you, because it's your advice will help the elected officials, which 2 of you are sitting on there on this board. I hope legal's okay with that. My understanding.
I understand Diana's question. This is unique because of the planned unit development. And it's a little bit unique because the planned unit development, when it was created, it was not specific. It didn't say lot B will forever have to be green space or recreational area. It just said adequately provide was one of the 7 things that was that I recall one of the things that was in there. And so they're definitely modifying one of the blocks that I think was satisfying that portion of it. And I think you get to make a recommendation as whether you're satisfied, whether they're still in compliance with what was asked then.
Another thing to consider too is the BZA doesn't have the authority to create new lots in the city. So even if they got permission, they would still have to come back here. You know, if we went that route, it would,
Considering that none of the neighbors or any of the other residents have any problems with this, I think we just need to approve it.
I am concerned that, do we know, how, let me say this different. Can I ask how they were informed or noticed? Were they provided?
Through the Plan Commission's.
certified mail,
Certified mail.
So the entire neighborhood here received
any adjacent property to the parcel,
just the adjacent properties?
Yes.
So you have proof of service of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, roughly 10 property owners?
I want to say there was 11, is that right?
Never mind, no.
Yeah, I think there was 11, just because we went across the street.
Right, there's a couple ones you're going, so we have proof of service in our possession of those 11.
As well as the public notice in the
Right.
newspaper.
And an email exchange with the HOA, for the villas.
Okay, so
Proof
that
of
would
service
be
is
our,
what I wanna,
that would be our, protocol, right?
Yes.
Okay, that was my primary concern, was just making sure that. they
And a
were
legal
represented.
ad that was run in the paper, so.
Any other thoughts or questions? Okay.
I think I don't have a problem saying that they've done everything that they can to satisfy this requirement, and there's nothing more they can do, and just letting this land sit there. If nobody wants it, it might as well be put to the best and highest use that it can. I just wanna make sure that we're not opening the door so that other developers can come in and use this as a reason to not have to provide that space.
So one of the best things about Plan Commission stuff, and BZA for that matter, this isn't precedental, not legally precedental. You all might feel like we've done it for these people, we should do it again, we shouldn't do it again, but there's, every single time someone comes before the Plan Commission and asks for something, it's their own unique circumstance, and you guys should consider it that way. So you're not this doesn't bind you to any different future decision about any other plat that would come
That's
forward.
helpful, thank you.
Your Honor, do you have a follow-up thought?
It's only advisory too, back to, because it's a planned unit development, they could come in here and ask you, they want 10 lots on those properties. They can do whatever they want, but the city council is relying on you to say, here's what we believe with no rules. There are rules that you have to follow, but in this case, there are not. Here's what we do believe is appropriate, and we're gonna recommend to council what we believe. But really, you're really not taking any action, you're just advising, you are through a recommendation. My opinion, my opinion.
Carefully worded, Your Honor. Any further thoughts or questions? Let's just sit down.
Great healthy debate, thank you.
Okay, we'll close it to the public.
Were there any opposed? Can you ask that?
I thought I had, okay. Is anybody opposed to this? Okay. Anybody just have any questions? Okay, with that, we'll close it to the public. And, any discussion? Are we ready for motion?
Not ready for motion, but we're looking to, create a recommendation or, not recommend, right?
Well, I think it was, not recommend, or, no, I guess. There were three options. I believe.
Yes, no, or
As a recommendation, we're not approving a plat or, approval.
So your position today, as you're being asked, to either make a favorable recommendation that the council will hear that you all made a favorable recommendation, or an unfavorable recommendation that the council will hear you made an unfavorable, or that you made no recommendation. And results of whatever you vote to do will be shared with the council when it comes before the council, and they're asked to,
I would, sorry, Scott.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would move to, forward a favorable recommendation to the council that we allow, the petitioner to move forward with these 2 lots.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, abstain, okay, so, what we got? 5, 6 in favor, 1 abstain. Justin, was there anything else for the meeting? Okay, do I hear, a motion to this, adjourn? There we go. Get it out. Come on, Max.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
You're on the
Michelle,
record.
come on, you heard step up.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, none, okay. Thank you.